How many methods do you have to deliberately and intentionally intensify your positive and resourceful emotions? Because the more able you are to do that, not only will your life become more vivid and more intense in a positive way and passionate, but also you'll have much higher levels of control over your own resourcefulness to solve problems, and you'll have more control over your emotions rather than your emotions running you. So if you'd like to learn a handful of methods for intensifying your positive emotional states on command and on purpose, then you're in the right place, and enjoy today's video. Over my past 10 plus years of practicing neurolinguistic programming and neurosemantics, one of the interesting things that I've noticed about people when I start to experiment with intensifying and detensifying their emotional states is that when someone is in a negative emotional state, and you could try this on for yourself or at least go back into your memories and test this out for you, when someone's in an unresourceful or a negative emotional state and I ask them to kind of turn it down, to de-tensify it, well, the normal response that I get is, I can't do that. I can't turn it. What are you talking about? You want me to turn down my negative emotional state? But on the ironic side of things, when I ask them to intensify the unresourceful emotional states, they have no problem cranking it up and getting more angry or more sad or more frustrated. It's real easy to kind of crank up those negative ones, and if you ask someone, hey, can you turn it down a little bit, they typically will respond with either resistance or actually by having it subconsciously automatically intensify. And the other interesting thing is that on the other side of things, the exact opposite happens with positive emotional states. So if someone's in a resourceful emotional state, and you can even, again, go back into your memories and test this out for yourself, and if I asked you, hey, can you make yourself more happy or more excited or more loving or more passionate? Most people, not always, but most people will have a hard time turning it up. They'll say, well, that is how loving, how happy, how passionate, how excited I am. It's just how I naturally am. But if you ask them to turn it down, they could probably turn it down for you. They go, yeah, I guess I could turn it down a little bit. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic that just the natural way that culturally we as human beings, in my personal experience, are taught to play with our emotions is that it's easier to crank up the bad ones and we have a hard time deliberately turning them down. And with the good ones, it's not so easy to turn them up, but we can deliberately turn them down and detensify them a little bit. Now, the reasons behind why all that happens is not so important for this video, because in this video, what I want to share with you is a handful of techniques that you can use to deliberately and intentionally intensify your positive emotional states. And the first one that I'm going to share with you is just by harvesting your memories. So this is kind of a common NLP technique where if you find a memory that is of a high level of intensity or the appropriate level of intensity, that's going to be the first place to start for being able to revivify that. So when you find a memory, you could even try that out now. So if you think about a resourceful emotional state that you'd like more of in your life, you can even pause the video if you want to take some time to think about that. But maybe you want some more love or some more patience or some more acceptance or some more gratitude or appreciation or passion or focus. And just pick one. You can pause the video if you'd like and pick one. And when you have one, what I invite you to do is, of course, to pick one with an adequate intensity. So if you want to intensify your emotions, then pick memories that are of an adequate intensity and step inside of the memory as if you were there now. So see what you see, hear what you hear, feel all the feelings that you feel in that experience, and allow yourself to take all the time you need to make that experience as vivid and as real as if you were there now. And again, you can pause the video and take all your time to revivify that intense emotional experience. And when you do, what you'll notice is that the emotions will come up at that level of intensity or around that level of intensity when you do this thoroughly. And the key is, number one, to pick intense experiences to step into and to revivify. And secondly, to make it as vivid and as real as if you were there. Smell what you smell. taste what you taste, smell the air, taste the taste in your mouth, the more vivid in which you remember, you put that back together, the more vivid the emotional response will be. And there is a presupposition of NLP, which is that the brain does not know the difference, the body does not know the difference between something physically real and something vividly imagined. And so we've all had the experience of having a dream and waking up from that dream and having those feelings, whether it was unresourceful or, ooh, it was a great dream. And so we're going to kind of consciously and deliberately utilize that process. So step number one, pick a memory that is already intense, step into it, and make it as vivid as possible with all the sensory systems. Method number two, I'm going juicy in this video. Method number two is what I call the turn it down a notch technique. This piggybacks off of that original idea that I mentioned, which is that when people have positive and resourceful emotions, they find it much easier to turn it down than it is to turn it up. So what I invite you to do is to get yourself into one of those positive, resourceful memories, maybe the same one as before, if you're just playing around and experimenting. Step into it, see what you see, hear what you hear, feel what you feel, revivify it, smell what you smell, taste what you taste as if you were there now. Take all the time you need and feel free to pause the video to do that fully and completely. And when you have it, what I invite you to do is to turn the emotions down one notch. So if you could scale it on 0 to 10, just turn it down one notch from where it was. And you should find, okay, I don't want to, and that's okay. We're going to bring it up in a minute, but just do it for the purpose of experimentation. When it's down a notch, what that presupposes is that you actually have control over your emotions. Isn't that pretty amazing? And so now I invite you to turn it back up one notch to where it was. And then just continue turning it up while you've got that intensifying and intensifying. And so actually turning it down one notch allows you to recognize that you do have control over your emotions. It's not a on and off kind of a thing. It's not digital, it's analog. You can turn it. And so by turning it down a notch, it presupposes you've got conscious control and you can control your emotions, and then turn it up one, which allows you to continue with that process and keep on turning it up. So that's the turn it down a notch technique. Next technique, I'm not going to actually guide you through it, but it's just like the last one. However, this will work better for people who are more kinesthetic rather than people who are, well, people who are more visual and kinesthetic rather than people who are just kinesthetic, playing with their emotions. And it's the same technique as before, the turn it down a notch, but this time I invite you to experiment, pause the video if you'd like, to go through that last exercise. However, visualize a dial. Maybe it's a crank dial, a knob. And get yourself in there, feel what you feel, see the knob, reach out, touch that knob, turn it down a notch. Notice how that affects your emotions. Turn it back up to where it was, and then just keep on turning it up and turning it up. And so actually using a visual and a kinesthetic dial will actually help to play along there in terms of intensifying the emotions. And then the last tip is just to play around with the cinematic features. So maybe experiment by bringing the memory closer, or making it brighter, or making it more 3D, or maybe adding some music in the background. So stepping into kind of the editing booth of your mind and playing with the submodalities is the NLP term, metamodalities is the neurosemantics term, the cinematic features is the kind of the basic user-friendly, and playing with the cinematic features, the volume, maybe turn up the volume a little bit. Try with the volume on your left ear or on your right ear, or coming surround sound all around you. And so playing with those cinematic features, you might be able to find some of these kind of features of the editing of the movie when you step back into the editing booth of your mind that would intensify those emotions even more. And now you have at least a couple of methods that you can begin to experiment with, or continue to experiment with yourself, to start to get an idea over how you can have more control over the intensity of your resourceful emotions, so that you can well, just have more vitality and more enjoyment and more passion in your life. You'll be able to utilize those emotions that you're harvesting as resources to solve problems, to update memories, to build brighter and better futures for yourself. And all in all, you'll have a higher level of self-leadership, being able to lead your emotions so that you'll more effectively be able to lead others by showing what it means to be congruent in yourself and to be in control and in charge of yourself in the moments where you need it the most. So I hope you found this video valuable. Of course, this list is not exhaustive. And if you have any other ideas about or techniques or tools or methods that you use to intensify your positive and resourceful emotional states, please share them here. I always love to learn from people around me who have great ideas. One of the presuppositions of NLP is that everybody has expertise. And so even if you are just like, well, this is just what I do, that's the kind of juicy stuff where NLP was built from and continues to build on top of. So your experiences are greatly welcome, and I love to hear it, whether you're just somebody who's listening to this video for personal development or you are a NLP trainer, you are a coach already. All opinions and all methods are welcome. I like to create a collaborative environment where we can all learn and grow from each other. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jason Schneider. I'm the founder of the Perception Academy, and I work with coaches, leaders, and personal developers to unleash the highest and best of human potential using cutting-edge psychological models such as neurolinguistic programming, neurosemantics, coaching skills, and self-actualization psychology. If you like the video, feel free to like the video, and if you'd like to get updates on more videos like this, then of course subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow my Facebook page, and share this video with anyone who you think might find it valuable. I'm wishing you a great rest of your day, and I am curious to hear your experiences in intensifying your positive emotional states deliberately.